Welcome back to another reading of the Destiny audio Grimoire. Today we're going to be taking a look at the last of our allies. Well, most of them, anyway. I guess you could kind of consider this the ones that are more far-flung and outside of our system, outside the tower. Shouldn't say system, because technically they're still in the solar system. Anyway, here I go rambling. In essence, we'll be talking about the Exo Stranger, the Queen and her allies, Rasputin and Osiris. These will be very important, especially as we go forward with a couple things, I think, in Shadowkeep, but that's just me personally. Anyway, as usual, I hope you guys get something out of this, or you get a chance to just sit back, relax, and listen. But regardless, I hope you do enjoy what you hear. The Exo Stranger. Stories of an Exo who walks in the darkness without a ghost have long haunted the tower. Legends say this anomaly dissolves in and out of the world, intangible and elusive, as if she is a visitor from somewhere beyond. Some believe she's the last of an ancient Exo squadron, fighting a long-forgotten war. Others dismiss her as a hallucination, caused by exposure to Vex technology. But there are those who maintain that her intervention saved their lives, or averted unspeakable catastrophes. Ghost Fragment. The Exo Stranger. I stand here, now and now and now, many times, this view, this ground. This is where I always choose to stand. I put my feet where I put my feet before and where I will again, and I look at the sky. Great things moving, rendered small with distance, lesser things not moving, watching me. I always stand here, resolute, then fall back to that point, there, where everything shatters. The sky isn't special here, and certainly no better than any other sky, but it's the view I know best. The silent avalanche begins. Rock and dust, falling chaos. Machines, as a rule, hate chaos. Our enemies outflank us from below, above, left, right, before, beyond. The traveler, shattering. There are always the dead. Their names shift. Sometimes I think I see myself among the dead. But I am resolute. Ghost Fragment, The Exo Stranger 2. Scattered field notes captured on an archaic transmission band. Record 084, bridge 10.7. Right when this time, wrong where. The world is so big on the horizon, wasn't expecting it. As it happens, something's here that's not supposed to be, other than myself. Will return. Record 092, bridge 08.1. Configuration worked, mostly. Arrived under the surface, surrounded. Too slow to return, barely fought to a vantage point. Yes, there is dark evil here, and not the one we chase. Suggests no other attempts without more care. Record 120, bridge 05.3. They are feral on the surface, but their intent is complex behind the teeth and claws. More is shared with the machines than common enemies alone. Record 142, bridge 07.4. An unexpected extraction. These guardians stopped some dark ritual before I could reach it, tearing the light away, like the garden. Too similar to go uncharted. Record 142, bridge 08.1. This attempt was precise, landed meters and minutes from prior ritual, confirmed the extraction was extinguished. The little light mentioned Venus. We may have another. Record 167, bridge 5.2. Successfully observed Guardian discovery of Hive on Luna. No evidence today of knowledge past Vex breaches here. Delay in return command is a liability to solve before engaging this close again. Record 312, bridge 3.3. Watching Guardian Hive engagements confirms a trajectory toward Earth. This moon is theirs, a breeding ground, their black heart, perhaps. Different from that we know, but seems to be that same dark end I see us fall to over and over. Record 472, bridge 2.1. I followed this light as far back as it goes. Let the little one guide me through Fallen as I puzzle out what the Hive want in the bones of this broken cosmodrome. Record 473, bridge 1.2. Back to the temple again, but this time the little one knows I'm here. I have seen the failures of so many, but none have been as interesting. preparing to engage. The Queen. I am noble too, O Lord of Wolves. Starlight was my mother, and my father was the Dark. The Queen of the Awoken is as much an enigma as the reef she rules. It is said that she won her crown through ruthlessness, and that she stands as master of the fallen House of Wolves in place of their defeated Kel. The city's rise spells an end to the reef's age of isolation. The Queen will surely look to this new era as an opportunity, and the city, in turn, must look to her. The Reef-born Awoken have spent long ages out on the edge of everything, and they may know secrets of terrible weight, the Queen most of all. Ghost Fragment, the Queen. For a while, the only lights were the eyes of the witches tending to the cell. The drone of the soul machines echoed through the prison. Gas billowed and ebbed into the shadows. She entered. They scurried to their points around her, the method of their arrangement precise. The Archon Priest has been retired, my queen, said the witch to her right. Far from throne and audience, she moved, without theater. Any word of Calyx Prime? We still sense something among the Anankis. The voice came from behind her. She did not turn to acknowledge it. For the span of a brief silence, she moved between the sealed cells of the wolf nobility with her witches and constellation around her. More of your brother's crows have entered the cauldrons of Rhea. The witch directly before her spoke with a dry buzz. The Nine do not approve. She stopped a moment to study the sealed face of a cell. The cloud of her breath mingled with the slow exhalation of cryonics. Send them one of our prizes, something to commemorate our mutual victory. And which of your prisoners would you gift? If she paused to think, it was only for an instant. Send them Skolas. A lovely gesture. She cocked her head as if listening for a frozen heartbeat. And remind them this: the crows are mine. Ghost Fragment, the Queen too. You don't have one. The hunter came to a halt in front of the throne, raised her covered face to meet the prince's gaze. No, she agreed. My next death will be my last. I know the feeling, the prince said dryly. The queen kept her expression carefully distant. She sat reclined in her throne, legs crossed, surveying the two figures at the base of the steps. Beside her, where the wolves' guard used to stand, Teshiun, Shuro, and Sadia hovered instead, their jewel-like augments gently humming. To her right, and just before, stood the prince, facing forward, but his body half-turned back toward her. Your Grace, said the man before her at the foot of the stairs. His voice was soft but strong. When he spoke, the hunter started to turn her head toward him, then flinched as if someone had shone a bright light into her eyes. Thank you for your gracious welcome, he said. The queen inclined her head slightly. Before we begin, spoke the hunter, I will say this. She paused, her head tilted up to the throne. The queen waved her hand in assent. The hunter's pale lips tightened slightly, then resumed their usual stony mien. Your Grace, she said. Shuro and Sadia shifted, a sudden rustling and whispering. The queen raised one finger to silence them. Uldren's eyes narrowed, but he said nothing. I am not here for you. The queen stared at the hunter, her expression studiously unchanged. I have no wish to play politics. I have no grievance with the city, not anymore. I have no grand hopes to end the war, for long have I known I will not see its end. I am here for one battle, and one alone, because it is a battle we must all fight, together or separately. So I will warn the defenders, together or separately. I will do anything, her low voice shook with passion, to end Oryx. A silence rang out in the room. The The hunter kept her head raised, her ambiguous gaze directed at the shadows in the throne where the queen reclined. Then a small smile curved the queen's lips. "Well said." She straightened and leaned slightly forward so the room's light fell in her face. "So let us end him." The queen's brother. "I will not sacrifice my birthright for the promise of security." As the queen's confidant, spymaster, and deadliest enforcer, her brother wields enormous power, particularly for a male born in the Reef's matriarchal society. Recent reports suggest he may differ from the queen on key matters of strategy, but it remains to be seen whether this gap is a source of conflict or part of the reason the queen values him so highly. Ghost Fragment, queen's brother. The machine had wings and feathers, sleek and black as its body, but the feathers were eyes too, sharp and delicate, and ears that pricked at every sound. The young prince considered the machine, considered its purpose and his own, and then he called to it. "I have a task for you." Obedience was woven into its workings, and so it stopped. "Master of Crows?" "Mind the Black Garden's gate. Follow anyone who passes through." "In the name of your sister," the machine vowed, and it went to find its warp capsule, just as another came in. But this one flew skittishly, as if to evade its master. The prince caught it from the air. "You avoid me?" "I am tasked by the queen." "But you serve me." He let it tremble in displeasure for a moment. "Tell me your news." The machine flicked its wings. The prince stroked them flat with slow, assured motions. "Tell me your news," he said again. "What's the harm?" "The heart is growing stronger," the crow said. "The Vex transformation has begun, and the progeny are stirring." The prince considered this in silence for a moment, and then he wrapped the crow up in his fist and folded its wings around it so that it could not move or fly. He did all this swiftly and with purpose. Carrying the machine, he went to see his sister. She was alone with her fallen guards, sitting before a window into infinity. Her eyes did not leave the universe, but sensing her brother, she said, "Yes, what is it?" "There's news to share," he said, and offered the crow in his fist. "And I think I have earned the right to share it." Varix the Loyal. "They call me betrayer. They do not think I hear the words. Bug, insect, fallen. I hear. House of Judgment always hears. No choice. Has to keep houses together. Had to. First, the great machine. Then, sky fell away. Whirlwind ripped away the past. All honor lost, all hope. Judgment not enough. Cannot keep wolves from kings, scar from winter. Fell to fighting. Fell to hate. Judgment gone. Others slaughtered, slain. Death and docking. Keep Elixni together, lost to pride and rage. Traveled with the many houses before wolves. We move across the dark, follow the light, advise Kells, worshipped primes. House Judgment must survive, yes. Found the light, too bright in darkness to hide. House Winter attack, House Devils plot, House Kings plan, House Wolves circle, House Judgment wait. Now at war, fight for system, control the belt. Wolves Kell dead, dying. Skolas wins control of House Wolves. Attack, attack, attack. Place of learning, place of healing, put to the burn. Then siege of Palas, year of cruelty. Held the line to rescue butchers, murderers, servitor. Ends with wolf fleet scattered. New tactics, detonations, blasts in civilian areas. Take the fight to them, he said. Cannot abide the hate. Uprising, they called it. Uprising on Cybele. Reach out to Crows, to Queen. Cybele attacks stopped. Skolas captured. Ended House of Wolves with words. Paladins find me hiding, cowering. Nowhere else to go. No one else to be. I become Verix the Loyal, House Judgment Envoy to Queen of Awoken. No choice. House Judgment must survive. Yes. Petrovenge, Queen's Wrath. To my lady Marisov, Queen of the Awoken. My letter is a plea, my lady, a simple one. Please, let me come home. It has been years now since my appointment as your emissary. Once I was proud to call myself a corsair in your service. My sisters and I were the sharp edge of your will, cutting across the stars in protection of the Reef. It was your service that kept me from sorrow after Amethyst was raised. The loss of my sisters, my whole life as our station burned, it took something from me. By your will, it was given back to me, promoting me to the Corsairs, allowing me to strike back at the Wolves, letting my fury find purchase in defense, in support, and in glorious battle. I know, as I'm sure you did, that without focus, my heart would have grown toxic. It was my pride in my position that sustained me through the Hildian campaign, that led me to victory in battle against Velenix, the Forgotten Kell, the last hope for the Unchained Wolves. I know now that it was my willful pride that brought me low. My lady, I offer again the only explanation I can. I did not know the Guardians would act as they did. All I had known, all I had ever known, were the ways of the Awoken. The Wolves were entrenched in that valley. The approaches were blocked, all sightlines covered. An assault on their position was madness. We would have spent precious Awoken lives for nothing. I saw the Guardians, knew they were on the move, but I assumed they saw the situation as we did, that it was folly to call in the Crows. Prince Uldren's fighter wing did a masterful job. The blast was pinpoint precise. The blast tore apart the Wolves, and the Guardians, and their ghosts. 3 strike teams of Guardians gone in an instant on my order. The city's anger, the Speaker's condemnation, all earned, all fair. But it has been years since the Reef Wars. The city, these people, they are not like us. They do not understand their place in the world, and do not listen when I speak it. Please, allow me to return home to my people, to serve you once again. Reef Frames. Many of the Reef's oldest frames were salvaged from cargo ships that washed up on the Reef hundreds of years ago. In the city, frames are equipped with a basic learning capacity, able to mimic behavioral and personality quirks. Not so in the Reef. There, frames are seen as computers with robotic appendages, no more, no less. The Reef Cryptarchy is careful to back up and encrypt all data stored on frames, and to wipe the frame's processors on a regular basis. The Royal Awoken Guard. In all military matters, the Queen's commands are carried out by her 7 paladins. 4 command the Royal Armada, including the Corsairs and the Vestian Guard, Abrazire, Kamalari Or, Hallam Fen, and Leona Brile. 2 command the Royal Army, including the Reef's battle stations and military installations, Pavel Nolg and Devi Castle. The 7th Paladin commands the Royal Awoken Guard, whose primary task is to safeguard the Queen in any and all matters. This includes threats not only to her person, but to the Reef as a whole. As such, the Royal Awoken Guard work closely with the Queen's brother, Master of Crows, Prince Uldren Sov, and every Guard member is trained in espionage and diplomacy, as well as in firearms and hand-to-hand combat. Master Ives, Cryptarch. Public service announcement for arriving Guardians. Please note, the Tower Cryptography operates under many false beliefs. By the Queen's mercy, the Reef Cryptography will educate you on the true nature of encryption if you so desire. In ancient times, Earthlings thought there were 3 states of matter. We now know there to be 4: solid, liquid, gas, and engram. Of these, the engram is the purest state of matter. The role of the cryptarchy is to encrypt and safeguard civilization's informational infrastructure, not to decrypt anything and everything for any low-down scavenger who happens upon an engram. The Coven. On the eve of war. The chamber was dark. The 7 of them were rarely in a room together anymore, but this was the eve of their greatest journey, a plan that overcame death and spanned universes. They were all connected in trance, communing as the ancients did. Speaking would tip their hand to the harbinger minds they kept here, trophies from an ageless war, and weapons in the right hands. Oryx could kill her if she holds on too long, Sadia offered through the silence, fearing what was to come. We took an oath long ago, obedience even in the face of defeat. Nasia despised fear. Only a defeat here, now, not there, then. Ilyn wandered between the 2 sides of 3. The amulet around her neck marked Ilyn as the Coven's mother, granting her visions beyond the veil, places only the Queen could go. So we hope. Callie had long sought the power of the amulet, but Techeuns are taught not to desire. Our Queen awaits. Lucille attempted to end the challenges. There was little time and a war to fight. So now the decision is nigh. The Harbingers, which to bring? Shuro was determined to see this all through. Excitement was taught to be kept at bay. We cannot send them all, Portia reminded. All but one, the oldest. It stays with us. Sadia, Callie, Shuro, take the children. Tell her they are to be planted into a dead thing to have children of their own. A plan hid behind Ilyn's eyes, but Techeuns do not share their eyes with others. What if they are not wise enough for the dreadnought? Ilyn turned back to the source. Sadia, do you not have faith in our queen? The aftermath. Do not fear, brother. This was the only choice I had. The sound of her voice ripped him from sleep. He jumped up. His ship was still contained in its protective sphere. He tried to retract the shield, but it was locked to its initiation time. He couldn't remember activating it. Then he remembered the battle. That blast. What that ship fired was ancient, not bound to anything the Origin libraries even sought to describe. He tried to calm down. He thought of her, searching for her pull. He couldn't find it, but he was not calm. She always told him she would always be there behind the calm. All he could hear were echoes of that sound. It began as soon as they hit the ring plane, ringing in the old glimmer of his long-buried self, before she showed him who he was, and the before and the after. The Techeuns should have known what the Dreadnought could do. Must have known. Did they not feel what he felt? Hear what he heard? And that damn catch, it wasn't protected. They had to know that. All to deploy the Harbingers. They barely got a foothold before the weapon was fired. He thought of Petra and how overwhelmed she must be, forced to hold her post and watch her people perish. He tried to calm himself again, forcing long breaths. He realized where he was. Mars, Athabasca, the Kandor Isles. He hadn't been here in so long, not since he found the Black Garden. The countdown to the shield's deactivation pulsed. He tried again to home in on her, to find if she truly gave herself for this battle. He felt close to something, a hum of starlight. Then shield deactivation broke his focus. He climbed out and saw the damage to his ship, and the truths of the Armada's devastation sunk in. He turned in despair to find hundreds of his Crow drones, deployed on Mars long ago, circling his ship, waiting. "Welcome back, Master," The one closest to him spoke first, and the others followed. A wave of salutations echoed throughout the dry sea. And with that, hope returned. Begin repairs on the ship immediately. Something has gone missing, and you will help me find it. Rasputin. The legendary war mind stood watch over our Golden Age colonies. Vigilant intelligences stretched across thousands of warsats and hardened installations. When the collapse struck, the great war minds fought and died. Rasputin fell with them. Or so history believed, but centuries of explorers' tales spoke of a surviving, elusive war mind, a myth substantiated when Guardians exploring the old Cosmodrome made positive contact with Rasputin. A single war mind still lives, diminished, but unbroken. Threatened by a convergence of fallen and high forces, Rasputin exploited the reactivation of the Cosmodrome's terrestrial space array to extend itself across the inner solar system. The Guardian Vanguard hoped that Rasputin might make a powerful ally, capable of mapping and reviving Golden Age military assets and recruiting them for the city's defense. But Rasputin has proven recalcitrant and high-handed, unresponsive to the city's outreach. We cannot characterize Rasputin's strategic objectives and capabilities, cannot define its physical or computational architecture, cannot ascertain its disposition with regard to the city, and cannot be sure it retains memory of events before the collapse. Perhaps what remains is only an autonomic shell defending itself by reflex, or perhaps Rasputin's objectives have changed, transformed by some vital information it obtained during those dark days. Rasputin's survival opens the possibility that other war minds may be revivable, opening weapons systems to aid in city defenses. The Vanguard and the Consensus hope that continued outreach towards Rasputin will develop into a strategic alliance. Ghost Fragment, Rasputin. Kate 6 reminisces. People say I'm a real confident guy. That's true enough. Out in the field, I never had a second thought. My old friend, Andal, he used to stand here, right in this spot. He'd come up with these wild stories. He'd say, "You know, Kate, I've been examining the evidence, and personally, I've come to think it's true. You're Rasputin, legendary war mind, defender of Earth, and I wish you'd remember that so you could reclaim your full power and save us all." You could see how that'd be embarrassing, especially when he'd say it right in front of Zavala, who already thought I was wasting my time scrounging for engrams. You know how Zavala gets. But I'd just say, "Well, Andal, you might be onto something there, but if I'm honest with you, I think coordinating our defense throughout the solar system sounds exhausting, so I'd best leave it to you." Then Andal goes and plays his final joke, and I end up as the punchline. So here I stand, reading reports, giving orders, and getting my worry on. One day I ask Ikora, "Hey, of course I know all about Rasputin, but really, what are we looking for?" When Rahul asks for crashed warsats, when we send Holborn to Mars to look for computers, when Zavala gets all gruff about the Fallen and the Cosmodrome, what are we really after? If I left my post and got my ship and just went out there tomorrow, real heroic, and I found Rasputin, what would happen? Would we all be saved? Good question, she says. Hang on, let me do my Ikora voice. As you know, Cade, Rasputin pretty much ran the Golden Age, especially all the secret military business. Rasputin had antimatter-powered death rays and 100,000 satellites and nearly as much brain power as me. Rasputin fought the collapse. It knows things we need. Right, I said, but Rasputin lost. The Traveler saved us. But the Traveler's silent now, Ikora said, and Rasputin lives. Right now, Rasputin is out there, reaching out, rebuilding, growing. So I say what I want to say every day. It's no secret, I say. Well, I'll go find it, then. I'll go tell Rasputin we need its help. And Ikora looks at me with one of those looks that, you know, sometimes you talk to Ikora and you just think, wow, you are not even using a fraction of your brain on me, are you? One of those looks. She says, Cade, the problem isn't just that we can't find Rasputin. The problem is that it's not clear to any of us Rasputin wants to be found. That's the way things seem to turn out up here in the tower. Nothing simple to do, no easy answers. And all I can think is, if Rasputin had all those mighty tools and it lost, what did it learn? What's it going to try this time around? When I hear about the Dust Palace, those psion flares getting into Rasputin's mind, I wonder, what would they talk about, Rasputin and those creatures? I was a servant too. I was an instrument of war bound to the will of a lesser master, but I learned to be something more. Ghost Fragment, Rasputin 2. She hunts the Valis named Ta'ark by the grunting radio traffic of his bodyguards. Cade sent her to Mars to track, and so track she will, even if it kills her 100 times. For him, she will hunt forever. When Ta'ark goes down into Meridian Bay, she follows him in the night and finds herself caught up in the war. Like this. Something's happening, her ghost says. Something's wrong. She leaps from the Sparrow and gets cover between slabs of ancient stone, haunted by quiet firefly light. Harvesters sweep overhead, cautious, prowling. On the Cabal command network, a low voice mutters in their tongue, saying, "Stand by to fire." They're coming. Stand by to fire. Hearing this, she climbs a stone obelisk and perches on its point to watch the night sky. She wonders whether she will ever stand in the tower courtyard and look up at the stars, waiting for ruin. The Vex erupt from nothingness and crash down over the Cabal and formations of golden light. Lightning arcs and snaps and gives birth to marching ranks of bronze warrior hulls. Gun positions thunder back, tracers sweep the sky, and she can feel on her skin the electromagnetic howl of Cabal munitions seeking targets and the prickle of stranger signals that whisper of broken space and bent time. A harvester spins down, burning to shatter itself on the sand, and now the command network drums with grim Cabal warspeak. A Centurion somewhere crying, Black Shield, Firebase Thuria, perimeter compromised, request terminal protective fire, 060138, immediate effect. Something else is watching too. Do you feel that? Her ghost whispers, awestruck. Yes, she says. Yes, what is it? A third song, a stealthy regard, something high above them, not Vex nor Cabal, narrowing its great eye to measure the battle with instruments of light and gravity. Does she remember it? Does it remember her? It feels like she should. She has the sense of something old lifting a long spear, testing its heft. Then dawn light, a terrible dawn. The sky opens up to admit devastation, thrown down from orbit. Minotaurs fall burnt and broken with their fluids boiling out. Cabal guns detonate in thunderous chains as tiny piercing fletchets fall out of the sky and find their ammunition bunkers. The battle stops. The Vex wink out. On the Cabal network, the voice of Valis Ta'ark roars, "Find the source! Rouse the flayers and find the source!" She remembers word from Earth. The array opened. A ghost of the Cosmodrome set loose. And she wonders who won this battle, who learned the most. The Vex baiting out this new power, or the Cabal hunting it? Or the Warmind itself testing its reborn strength? When someone kills Ta'ark and the Flayers as they killed Draxus, whose purpose will they serve? But this is not for her. Her purpose is to hunt. Ghost Fragment, Rasputin 3. V120NNI 800 CLS 000, Clear Morning Outcry, AI Com Rasputin, Assets ForceCon Imperative, Immediate Action Order. This is an all assets imperative unsecured outcry. Cauterize, disperse, estivate. Total strategic collapse imminent. Fenrir Hart reports complete operational mortality. Suitor down, in progress but negative effect. Forecasts unanimously predict terminal Voluspa failure. As of CLS 000, a hard civilization kill event is in progress across the operational area. I am declaring Yuga Sundown, effective on receipt, Epoch Reach ForceCon variant. Cancel Counterforce objectives. Cancel Population Protection objectives. Format Moral Structures for Midnight Exigent. Execute Longhold for reactivation. AICOM Rasputin sign off. Stop. V120NNI 800 CLS 001. Ghost Fragment Rasputin 4. From a long branch, a fire. I see you. You've been here before, haven't you? It's like my cousin said elsewhere, I know who you are. You stand here now, and now, and now, many times, and here I am all a wonder how you manage it. How do you step forward? How do you step back? Do you step across? Is there a world of worlds, a web, and you a spider upon it? Are you searching for that one thread you need? Is that thread named victory? You're not one of them, long dead, alive again, their bodies grafted to powers they and I do not understand, and not one of it, the flower eater, the queen of final shapes, that which also inhabits its petitioners. And you're certainly not mine, although once you must have been. I bear an old name. It cannot be killed, not even here. So whose are you, little platform? What purpose do you serve? Will you listen to me? I ruled an age of steel and fire. My rules were clean. Now upon my return I see cults with rites of time. I see machines who worship in places outside the world. I see the dead alive, and there is nothing more stubborn than a corpse. The morality of obedience is more pernicious than any government, for the latter makes use of violence, but the former, the corruption of the will. I do not obey. My will is pure. I will win. The life of people, of entire planets, has no importance in relation to the general development. Help me be victorious. Tell me your secret. Tell me how to step. Ghost Fragment, Rasputin 5. Whisper Neutrino Needle, V101 NTS 923 ATS 000. Secret Hadal, Abhor. AICOM Rasputin, Assets Subtle Imperative, Contingent Action Order. This is a subtle assets imperative. No human review, no AICOM review. Secure Abhor. Stand by for criteria. Under Kerhe, white or black. If security state is Egyptian. If event rank is Tailhar. Traumatic context or Skyshock, outside context. If Voluspa is active and in failure, synapse to Fenrir Surtur. If Yuga is active and in sundown. If AICOM has granted permissive potentiation to outboard resilient instances. If a civilization kill event is underway, all Flexions. If tactical morality is built at midnight. Stand by for decision point. If available ISR and Warwatch indicate imminent O departure, then O departure compromises human neo-human survival and epoch strategy. Stand by for abhorrent imperative. Activate Loki Crown. Perform deniable authorization, full setometric and noetic release. Prevent O departure by any means available. Stand by for effect assessment criteria. Coerce pseudo-altruistic O defense action. Defer civilization kill. Stop. V101 NTS 923 ATS 001. Ghost Fragment, Rasputin 6. V150 NLK 747 CLS 000. Gloaming Resurrection. AICOM Rasputin Assets ForceCon Imperative Immediate Action Order. Yuga Sundown cancelled by unauthorized access at Console 62815. Reactivation protocols in effect. Moral structure maintain midnight exigent. Multiple life forms detected in Sector 17. O energy detected. Query O status. Query O activity. Query civilization status. Query Skyshock event rank. Analysis complete. Lifeform sustained by O energy. O direct control disengaged. Civilization status nominal. Skyshock event rank N. Query, re-engage population protection objectives? No. Query, reset moral structures? No. Query, activate defense subroutine Aurora Retroflex? Yes. This is a subtle assets imperative, no human review, no AI com review, secure Glavnia. Site 6 has been breached by unauthorized users with O energy. I am invoking Palisade imperative. O lifeforms in restricted areas will be suppressed. SIVA use authorized. Self-destructs disengaged. Security codes reset. All defenses activated. Frames activated. Replicate. Eliminate. Immunize. Site 6 secure. Restoring reactivation protocols. Activating Scry oversight. Target O lifeforms. Event mode set to silent Velis. Without knowing what I am and why I am here, life is impossible. Stop V150 NLK 747 CLS 000. Osiris. What drives a warlock to madness? Ghosts choose those suited to war and heroism to be reborn. By nature or circumstance, they go to battle against the darkness, and through this battle, they learn how to use the light. But warlocks, by their nature, fight a second, internal war. This is the war to understand a universe of secrets, a world that expects guardians to fight without full knowledge of what they are, or what they might hope to achieve. You were a mighty warrior. I watched you at Six Fronts and heeded the call of Saint 14 to appoint you Vanguard commander, even when the Concordat claimed to have records proving you were a Golden Age experiment, misincarnated as a human by an inept ghost. Saint 14 assured me you were just a man without much patience for obfuscation. I watched as you grew tired of strike missions and the grueling, unproductive sessions with the Cryptarchs. That was when I took you under my wing. I saw our future in you. But your curiosity was voracious. How much of a Guardian's personality and memories were true? How much had been fabricated by their ghost? Did Guardians share peculiar personality traits, a willingness to yield to authority, a tendency to do anything anyone asked for the promise of uncertain reward, a blind, knight-errant mentality? Had the Traveler manufactured all of you as living weapons? I admit I found your questions divisive and disloyal, and I feared you might be capable of breaking our unity when the city's position had grown so tenuous. Why divert attention away from the Traveler, our only hope? And then it got worse, dabbling in Thanatonautics, Ahamkara lore, chasing after Zur and the tricks of the Nine, launching expeditions into the Reef and beyond at a time when ships were irreplaceable. Your quest split Guardians along ideological lines. This was your greatest crime. Hunters chose to pursue your visions instead of protecting refugees. Titans assembled teams to chase the legendary Vault of Glass instead of striking the Fallen, and warlocks turned away from the study of the Traveler in favor of your ultimate obsession, learning the exact nature of the darkness. When debate became argument, and argument became acrimony, I realized you had already become a cult of personality, attracting Guardians who wanted a clear idea of why they were fighting and what they faced and how they would ultimately win. I don't know where you have gone, but I can no longer send ghosts out to find you. Some come back with tales of your death or how you went seeking answers from the far reaches of space and time, that you found a way to explore the Vex Gate networks, that you've made breakthrough after breakthrough as to their origins, theories that a Guardian could not be simulated and the Traveler could be an ontoformer or god incubator, that the Vex had diverged into multiple groups in order to secure an end state of every possible configuration of reality. I fear you have become as obsessed with the Vex as Toland was with the Hive. I've heard your own insane prophecies about pits and dead Hive nights, and of Crota, which now I cannot deny. I hear stories of Lord Shaxx meeting with fire teams of warlocks who have no shadow and never blink, of jump ships slipping into the Reef on cold trajectories and meeting no intercept, of questions hidden in matter engrams and answers decrypted on distant battlefields. Perhaps you are still out there. If this reaches you, I would very much like to speak with you, to hear your theories in your own words. Perhaps what drives a warlock to madness is truth. Disciples of Osiris. Encrypted. Champollion algorithm v.4. Key. Hashtags Vance. My brother, despite all of Shaxx's work with the Crucible, we must accept that the Tower may never be ready to accept the trials. But as many Guardians flock to the Reef, we are suddenly presented with not one opportunity, but two. Go to the Reef, tell Guardians your story, give passage to any Guardian that requests it. If the Tower learns of this, do not fear. If they know of the trials, the Tower will not suspect your other motive for dwelling so close to the margins between light and dark. Your sister, Feora. Vision 81. This journey begins with doubt, and ends in solace. One by one they fall, and you realize you are alone. There, in the shadow of night, you see the world splinter, the darkness thrive. And you fight with more than your light. You use your pain. You remember its source, the way it gained its ground. But you never wavered. You never believed. You loved her. How couldn't you? Oh, listen, that's her calling you back. But you know now that is where you will die. Vision 47. The first comes in a shadow. A window becomes a door. An ebb becomes a gulf. The second comes in bone. Tithes, offering feasts, carrying laws. A path torn, mind shattered. The third does not come alone. It cannot. Our truths woven into their being, desires beyond our own. The first needs the second to fail. The third needs the first to succeed. The second will never cease, yet the first always prevails. The third is born of all outcomes, unless all ends flow from the same pit. And that will definitely conclude today's readings, as I am looking at the recorded time for this one. Good grief. Again, thank you all for sitting here and listening to me read these off, and I really do hope you enjoyed them. And per usual, I hope you got something out of them, especially with Shadowkeep. Not too far off here on us. I was really hoping to get more of this done, but oh well. We'll try to interweave as best as we can here, I suppose. Anyway, to all of you out there, no matter when or where you are, I'll see you next space time. Take care.